Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. For our assignment to group presentation, we designed a video-based lesson on the theme of culture for intermediate English learners age 12 and above. The lesson explores the rich and diverse indigenous culture of Sarawak. It follows the task-based language teaching (TBLT) approach, where students learn English through meaningful tasks and collaboration. This allows them to develop their language skill naturally while gaining a better understanding of Sarawak's cultural heritage.
To keep our TBLT lesson cohesive, we are using exactly one video throughout the English narrated documentary, which is Keindahan Negeri Sarawak by Finas Malaysia.
Sarawak is a fascinating land of lush tropical greenery and sweeping rivers.
This video serves as our central anchor. We chose it because first, the English narration is clear and it is packed with great visual elements. Visual elements including Dayak weaving traditions, longhouse community, traditional dances, indigenous lifestyles, and the cultural landscapes of Sarawak. These cultural elements help students learn in a more interesting and engaging way and also meaningful. By watching the visuals, students can understand better the culture and the meaning of the content. The video also builds students' curiosity and engagement while helping them learn new vocabulary naturally through observation and discussion. Now, let me explain to you why our project fits the standard of TBLT. First, this project connects strongly to TBLT because students learn language through meaningful tasks, not only simply memorizing grammar rules. Like I said before, this video acts as the central anchor for the lesson because it gives students a clear context and helps them to understand the topic before starting their activities. Second, this video also provides real-world language input. Students hear authentic English, vocabulary, and communication style which they can apply and use in real life. Third, the video works as a guide for students before completing their project. It helps them observe ideas, understand expectation, and also prepare for the final task confidently. There are also several TBLT benefits for the student. First, students learn through observation. By watching and analyzing the video, they can identify useful language and ideas naturally. Second, students also discuss ideas collaboratively. This will affect their communication skill because they work together, share opinions, and also actively work with their group members. Finally, students use English meaningfully during tasks. Instead of using English only for exercises, they actually use it to solve problems, action ideas, and also completing your project. Overall, this project reflects the main principles of TBLT because it encourages communication, collaboration, and also meaningful language uses through the real task.
Thanks, Latifa. Alright, so now that we have our anchor video, let's talk about how we actually start the class. Think of this as the warm-up. Just like how you wouldn't run a marathon without stretching, we also don't want to throw students into a big project without getting their brains ready first. Our goal here is to get them excited about Sarawak's culture and give them the English words they will need, but without making it feel like a boring grammar lesson with 100 worksheets. So here is how we do it. We're going to play that 1977 Sarawak video twice, but with two different goals. The first time we play it, we just want the students to relax and take it all in. We call this listening for the guest. I would tell the students, just watch and try to find 3 things that make Sarawak's culture unique. Maybe they will notice the massive long houses where whole villages live under one roof, or the energetic battle dances. This stage is all about building their confidence, showing them that even though this video is from 1977 and in English, they already understand the main story. Then we play it a second time. This is where the magic happens for vocabulary. Instead of giving them a list of words to memorize, we turn them into language detectives. They are going to listen for specific words that the narrator uses to describe what they are seeing on screen. For example, when they see the beautiful and complex patterns on the beadwork or the weaving, they will hear the word intricate. When they see the peaceful river town of Kuching, they will hear it described as picturesque. They will even learn a word like heirlooms when the narrator talks about jewelry being passed down through generations. The reason this works so well for teenagers is that they aren't just reading these words in a book. They are seeing the intricate design while hearing the word at the same time. It sticks in their brain naturally because they have a visual memory to go with it. By the time the video ends for the second time, the students aren't just warmed up. They actually have a toolbox of descriptive English words ready to use for the main project. And speaking of that project, I will let Dania take over and show you what the students are actually going to do with all this new information.
As the second task designer, I was responsible for designing the core challenge of our lesson, which is called the Sarawak Heritage Day Festival. In this activity, students will work in a small groups and take on their role as the event organizers. Their mission is to create a one-day exhibition cultural flyer for international exchange students who are visiting their school. The purpose of this activity is to not only to practice English, but also to introduce students to a rich and diverse culture of Sarawak. As shown on the slide, students are encouraged to include various cultural elements such as traditional dances, longhouse culture, traditional food, handicraft and weaving, as well as indigenous heritage. These elements will help students to gain better understanding of Sarawak's cultural identity while making the task more meaningful and engaging. For example, students may choose to organize a traditional ngajak dance performance, a food corner featuring local Sarawak dishes, or a cultural exhibition that showcase the history and traditions of indigenous communities. By discussing and selecting these activities, students are exposed to the authentic cultural content while actively using English to communicate throughout their ideas. And to make this a true task-based language teaching or TBLT lesson, we incorporate an important element known as the information gap. In this activity, each student is assigned to a different role within the group. So, the first student will act as the budget officer, who is responsible for managing the costs and planning the budget. The second student is responsible as a activity coordinator who organize performance and festival activities. And the third student will act as the designer who is responsible for creating the final festival flyer. And the key feature of the information gap here is that each student possesses different information and responsibilities. So this means that no single student can complete their task independently. Instead, they must communicate with one another, exchange information with one another, and negotiate ideas, and also work collaboratively to produce their final festival flyer.
I will explain about the process of lesson implementation, which is particularly the report phase and the teacher's role during the activity. So, of course, I will explain a little bit about the student's role, which is after students complete their festival flyers, the lesson moves into the report phase, which is an important stage in the task-based language teaching approach. So, in this phase, each group selects one representative to present their ideas to the class through a short 60-second oral pitch. So, what is the purpose of the presentation? So, it is to convince the audience to attend the Sarawak Heritage Day Festival. So, during the pitch, students explain the cultural activities which is included in their exhibitions, such as traditional dances, handicrafts, food, or longhouse experiences. So actually, this encourages students to use English in a meaningful and realistic way, rather than simply memorizing sentences from a textbook. So at the same time, the rest of the students act as a the audience. So they will listen carefully to each presentation, or they will ask a simple question if necessary, and finally they will vote for the most creative and interesting festival proposal. So this will create a more interactive and student-centered classroom environment. So besides improving communication skills, this activity also helps students develop confidence in public speaking, since students need to present their ideas clearly and persuasively. They will practice speaking fluently in front of others, while also they will improving teamwork and collaboration skills. So meanwhile, they are the teacher's role, which is the teacher will play as a silent monitor and facilitator throughout the activity. So instead of interrupting students whenever they make grammar mistakes, the teacher walks around the classroom, observes group discussions, and take notes on common language errors or pronunciation problems. So actually this is very important in TBLT, because the main focus during the task is communication and fluency. Students also should feel comfortable expressing their ideas without being afraid of making mistakes or be judged by other people's or the other student, So the teacher only provides correction and feedback after the activity has finished. So overall, this process allows students to actively use English in a real communicative context while building confidence, fluency, and interaction skills, which are all key principles of task-based language teaching. So this approach is important in TBLT because it allows students to focus more on I suggest now, which is fluency, confidence, and meaningful communication during the activity.
So, by using the fitness measure video that we have chosen, their listening shifts from passive hearing to actively decoding authentic English narration. Then, during the group work, textbook grammar will goes out the window, as the students will have to look each other in the eye, negotiate meaning, and practice real-time speaking and writing to design their festival flyers. So this will help them to build public presentation confidence and oral fluency. But how does it actually help them learn better? The magic here is putting meaning first, because the teacher doesn't disrupt their workflow with constant corrections, so students communicate freely. This opens the door for incidental learning, where grammar isn't forced on them at the start. Instead, we use a more targeted approach at the very end. The teacher uses their silent observation notes to deliver contextual feedback, fixing the specific past tense verbs they stumble on while describing Sarawak's history, or correcting the sequencing words they used for their festival schedules. Ultimately, what can we conclude from this entire design? First, we achieve authentic outcomes because language is treated as a practical tool to complete a project. And second, we have fully satisfied the assignment criteria by delivering a complete TBLT framework tailored specifically for learners aged 12 and above. And finally, our cohesive structure proves that a single engaging video anchor is all you need to drive an impactful lesson from start to finish. So that is all from our group. Thank you so much.